welcome to the X&1 Legion cast. It's me, Randy, back once again with Mitchem and Matt, and we're joined by a friend of the cast, confidant, sometimes master, sometimes soul crusher, Colton. How's it going?
It is going fantastic. Thanks for having me on, guys.
You might have seen Colton on some of Jerry's Game Shop's battle reports. He is a frequenter of that channel because he's a madman. He's out there getting games in. I think he's probably played more games than all of us in the new edition of Legion already. So
yeah, it's probably
he's
fair.
been tearing it up, crushing dreams like you do.
Nothing's changed. It's not a new edition.
Classic.
It's just not a new
Same
phone.
thing.
It is. It's
New world, same
Colton's
story.
Just taking it in stride, baby. Precious souls, just like the rest of us. Well, not like the rest of us, but hey.
Oh, man. But hey, before we go too much farther, we are in the middle of our 100 sub YouTube giveaway. So if you're subscribed, make sure you either comment on this episode or last episode. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We are giving away either a core unit or a trooper upgrade pack for the faction of your choice, because apparently you need a lot more of those right now, turns out. And then we've also, we'll throw in an X&1 sticker, and then we've got some X&1 Legion POIs for you for the new rules. So we'll send you one of those. Been in the lab on that one, so should be cool. Got more of those to paint. I have a lot to paint. There's a lot of in progress on my desk. It is gross. So yeah, per the usual, Mitchem, how's painting going?
Let's see. Can I take a pass on this one? Man, do home improvement projects count as painting?
I'll give you a half point that will round down to 0.
Okay. I was working on a larger scale model to make sure I could do it. And then I'm going to scale it down to my table next year. So that's
subject.
Okay.
My table is just going to be a giant ocean, like the Moncal planet and all that, or like something like that.
I'll take a Camino table with actual water in it. Yeah, I'll take that.
It's just going to be a fish tank that I'm going to bring, and I'm going to go to Petco and get all those fish stuff. And you guys have to put your models in water and actually play. It's going to be great.
Honestly, it would be one of the easiest tables to make.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to do it.
Minus the water.
I had to test it in large scale first. But no, in all seriousness, no, I have not painted since before LSO, when I think the last thing I painted was my commandos. And I have primer on. I mean, I'm sure you can probably see them on my desk right there. That's Bad Batch primed and dry brushed, ready to go. I need a hobby day bad because I got to get to 52. I'm still at 46. And now there's so much more to paint. Like there's so much more to build. I mean, you can see too, I got a bus down there I need to build right there. And then I got there's Log Ray and Wicket back there that I got as well. And then I got to buy, 10,000 more vets, a billion more rebel troopers. I got to rebuy my whole clone army with the new clone infantry box coming out with the new sculpts. I'm super pumped about that. So yeah, lots of things on the wish list, but not actually anything getting done.
So you would say you're in a bit of a planning stage.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing. And fleet troopers are good, so I need to paint my fleet troopers. So I'm super pumped about fleet troopers actually. So I think I might try to get those painted before Saturday.
Is this 2 weeks in a row of you being skunked on hobby harassment?
I thought
This is 2 episodes in a row. Technically, it's a month.
So, 3 episodes in a row, then we have a problem. So I expect...
We require at least one mini by next episode.
Restructure out.
It was 52 bottles in a whole year. I'm allowed to take a month off. Thank you very much.
No, absolutely. You earned that lead time for sure.
So
I just don't want it to get away from you.
feels like
I was there last year, that last week between Christmas and New Year's, furiously just trying to paint like 10 minis.
Yeah.
I think my 50-second mini last year was like a trash can for MCP.
I remember that. Yeah.
I was like,
hey, that counts. That counts.
Still counts.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been thinking a lot about what I'm going to do next year, and so planning, I guess. I'm seriously considering putting together a table like everybody else that's cool in our community. So I might start buying some like tubs and start hunting around for like a mat to kind of just like decide what kind of table. Yeah, I really want to do a Mandalorian inspired table, like a Mandalore inspired table. I think that'd be really hard, and I don't know if there's a good mat for that. Like if I do like inside Sindara, I don't know if I could do that.
I feel like city mats are hard to find for wargaming unless they're like bombed out. Bombed out city. It's always, like, can't this be like the beginning of the battle? Yeah.
Before the tanks and stuff rolled in and the airstrikes and everything. So I don't know. I mean, a Felucia table would be kind of cool as well because I could go to Petco and get a bunch of stuff. I mean, that's kind of the easy way out, but I don't have a 3D printer, so I'm going to be relying on my two friends and all my friends who have 3D printers. I'd be like, hey, I bought this STL. Can you slide this in?
if you say, hey, I'm going to take it and paint up a table that's not a desert planet, I'm sure people would be pumped to help you out.
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's like, I don't want another, because anything outside the city of Mandalore is all desert. So I could just do that. But we already have enough desert tables.
So that's what you do. Get a desert map, and then as you build it, just put buildings at the edge, and then you can be like, it's just the city's edge. And then slowly you just move the buildings down.
Yeah. Just a giant dome wall for the
dome.
Just just takes up a third of the map.
Yeah, the Civil War it up.
1/3 of map.
Gone. Unplayable.
Just gone.
So I like planning. We're in the planning stages. Midway through the year. And mid-year, this is my mid-year evaluation of myself and my painting so far. That sounds professional.
It's our 2/3 year. We're 2/3 of the way, buddy.
From what it sounds like from the higher ups, I have a 90-day review coming up, and I need to get something done.
Yeah, we're about to have a meeting. It's going to be not meeting expectations.
This is a hobby harassment, not a hobby.
Yeah, I would say
this is an intervention.
Yeah, if you think 46 and 52 is going to get you out of hobby harassment, no.
I was safe. I am not safe.
No,
I am not safe.
Matt.
I've been on a little hobby tear. I've been doing POIs. This is what a non-painted POI looks like. I've been printing some Wookiees. I printed a Wookiee. I also bought Wookiees because I've been working on painting some shooty Wookiees. They're not finished yet, but we're getting there. I got a Rex. I need to color him, but painted on some Rex. And I printed Randy.
Fresh off the assembly line.
Yeah, I printed Randy some benches for his table, so he's got more terrain because we need more terrain on every table now.
I hope you were talking about benches for playing in tournaments. I kind of got excited there.
Oh yeah, that
Sit
would
down,
actually
take
be
a big squat.
Yeah, like that, and I 3D printed some foot cushions for us to stand on.
Yeah.
Dude, I played against an opponent at LSO that brought one of those. Game changer.
Yeah. It's
game
nice.
Changer.
Yeah, shoe quality is important. Buy good shoes, folks.
That's true.
But yeah, that's pretty much. I've been doing a lot of painting, doing a lot of print. I feel like the printer's been running a lot, especially with the POIs. Been doing that.
Speaking of the POIs, this will come out after. So, but if you're at the tournament and you go X and 1 at the tournament this weekend at Game HQ, you'll get an X and 1 POI. So we need something for us guys in the middle. Like we need something to shoot.
Sorry, Colton, you're not getting one.
Yeah. Hey, get worse, son. Get worse.
I'm going XM1 just for the tokens, just for you guys.
Okay.
I
Let it be
mean,
know I was.
I don't think
bribed.
it's in your blood. I don't think you can do
You
it.
can't do
It
it.
can't.
I don't think it's possible for you.
It's a hereditary disease.
It takes a lot of guts to go X and one. You know,
Yeah.
we're built different.
I'm
You're
just
so
not the
brave.
man
You're
you guys
so
are.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, so it's been good. I feel like I've been kind of going since the new Legion, so
Yeah.
it's kind of nice, kind
That's fair.
of in a groove a little bit.
Right on.
What about you, Randy?
Oh, me? Okay.
Oh, let's get you.
I have been. I made those POIs and printed some. There was a lot of testing there, and then we decided on a simple color scheme because it's simple. I 3D printed some smoke trails for like ARC Troopers and Mando, so I'll have some of those as prize support for the tournament.
Thank you.
Because I think people always like having those because those dang flight stands just. Printing Bespin stuff, so I went to Hobby Lobby the other day and got some foam, trying to make a little like area terrain like park for it kind of stuff. So I feel like I'm in junior high trying to get my science project done, that kind of situation. I'm staring down the barrel above like 24 Black Suns over here. They're all primed. I glued them last week. They have some green skin. And they will at least have different markings for when I play this weekend. So will they be done? Probably not. Most of my hobbying's been on this guy right here. I needed a second bus ready to go.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
Look at the hand.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, I made it's a Mad Mando driving this bus. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Dude, that's so sweet.
We'll see how it goes. I've played a few games. Fury Road with more points seems pretty good. But
yeah, it's pretty bad before too. So
yeah,
wouldn't recommend.
Yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably regret not having more character too, but I wanted something simple for the new rules so I could focus on learning the missions and stuff. So
yeah.
Mission accomplished. I went 3-0 that second day of LSO and freed myself from pikes just in time to make myself have to paint up a bunch of new stuff.
Perfect.
Yeah. I know. Crazy. Colton, he sent me a couple pics actually. So
wow, gold star for you, Bucko.
Yeah.
Oh man. Coming in here making us look bad.
All right.
Oh,
so,
hey, I know this guy.
Yeah, so
I love this kit bash, man.
Yeah. So this is we had like a little Star Wars RPG night. Mitchem was there. One of our buddies, Travis, kind of held it, and I've got a Shadow Collective extra box, so I could be just like Randy and feel bad about the faction. But I had the extra maul, and I was like, dude, you know
Colton,
what?
you get a pass because unlike everyone else on the internet, you don't always go through not a faction. You just like, I don't have time to play them, or I don't feel like playing them, instead of like coming up with some poor excuse.
Nah, they're a faction. I started with them, and that was where I started winning, was with freaking Shadow Collectives. But yeah, so this is just my little kit bash them all. I literally never kit bashed something, so I don't know, it was pretty fun to actually just be like, I have 1,000 bits that are never going to get used. So that was the first one. I am kind of a psychopath when it comes to painting, as you can see in these next pictures. When I paint, it is a day thing. This is some AOS stuff. I know it's not Legion, but this is what was eating up my time before they magically released a new version of Legion. I kind of went try hard on these, trying a lot of different stuff and really taking my time. The big thing that you'll see in the next one is like every army I own has been redone and rebased, and so over the summer I like deep fried Kentucky Fried Chicken, whatever you want to call it, purple stuff. They are washed. My Empire and my Gar have been completely stripped of paint, and so I have pretty much one list ready for both of them. The Adepticon list I ran is completed, and then as you can see, I've even rebased my Rebels now, but my Empire stuff, which is looks like these guys right here, I'll just grab a couple of them. Just a couple of these golden boys. Kind of did like a golden theme for my Empire stuff, and so
I
Yeah,
I
really
just
like
went
those.
back to all my armies
those
and
guys are good.
redone them. But I'm a batch painter. When I paint, it's going to be like half the army. So for this Saturday, there's going to be a day this week that I stay up a little too late and paint either Gar or Empire. That's just how it's going to be. So good hobby progress, but I was not ready for the new version of Legion whatsoever. I have 2 armies that are essentially out of commission.
Yeah, I think a lot of us were like, what other games can I
Yep.
play in the meantime,
Yep.
Like me and Matt, we're all hyped to do some Halo Flashpoint stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, hey, learn this new version of Legion too. Awesome.
Hey, you thought you were getting out? No.
Yep. That's
Oh
exactly
man. I was just used to the steady state world, and
Yep. Out of
yeah,
nowhere.
someone dropped a bomb.
Not like we've been asking for this for a whole
Yeah.
year. So
Oh, darn, we got what we wanted.
Yeah, right.
Gosh,
Oh
dang it.
no! Oh no!
Oh, pity me.
No!
Yep.
Woe is me.
Too fast. Too fast.
Hey, we're Star Wars fans. We're gonna complain either way. It is our
That's
right.
right. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on
That's
now.
right.
I feel like it's tough because people are complaining about something and then people are silent and then they change it and then those people now are complaining and
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Well, yeah. New Legion. I thought we could we're kind of already getting there. Just kind of go with a vibe check now that we've all kind of played some games a little bit. I feel like initially it was either I love it or I hate it just because it's new.
Right.
And that was before anyone had even played it, just off of reading rules and things like that and looking at unit cards. But yeah, reactions now that you've gotten some games in.
It's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a lot. There's
Go ahead,
a
Matt.
lot that has changed. I think there's still a lot for me to process. I haven't gotten my head around half of the objectives other than playing it and being like, hey, this isn't a good one for Wookiees, or maybe this one's okay for. I'm doing Wookiees, and I played a game that was the research station one with the 6 points.
Oh yeah, that's
not
Nope.
not a good one for Wookiees.
Nope.
Because that was one Dylan whooped me, and basically he was running Droidicas, which are now actually pretty good. And he just kind of like, I'm gonna go wheel mode and just kind of drive over to all of your stuff, and I'm gonna get 3 points a turn, and you're gonna have to try to deal with that.
Yeah.
And I didn't. So yeah, no, it was a learning experience. So I'm just trying to think about how to kind of approach certain objectives. So that's neat. And then list stuff. Kind of have to relearn how to play the game in a lot of ways. Deployment is huge, and so that's kind of hard to. And I've been playing Yoda, so it's like I'm trying like, what Yoda card do I play first? And then I play Luminous turn 1, and it's like they're all off the field.
How soon do you bring them?
Yeah,
onto
when do
the
I bring
field?
Yoda out? Because they can't share until I bring Yoda out, and then it's just so a lot. I guess that's my initial. I am having a lot of fun. I feel like after kind of the first turn 1 gets done, which there's a lot there. But then I feel like it's a lot more like what we were kind of used to, like kind of play in the moment. I mean, the objectives are different, but the turn 0, turn 1 battle deck stuff, that's all I think still I need to go through and kind of get a handle on it.
Well, that's good because that's what we're doing this episode. We're gonna deep dive those missions and really read them, because I feel like I keep running into people like, oh, there's another part of this card that you score on, or there was another one where I thought I was taking crazy pills because it's the one where you kill an enemy. And I think everyone thought it was based on where the enemy died that you scored, but it's based off where where you're shooting from.
Yeah.
And
or
I think
stabbing.
it's really easy to miss it because that's literally the last line of that card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as far as like vibe check stuff, I'm really glad we were able to kind of digest the rules and play a few games before we made this episode and started really talking about it and diving in, because I think the initial gut reaction was like, holy crap, like this is a brand new game. You're right, it's not a new edition, it's a brand new game. But now playing it, and I think Matt said it too, is after turn 1, I mean, it's regular Legion. I mean, turns 2 through 5 are just regular old-fashioned Legion. Like, it feels the same. It's really turn 0 and turn 1 that really changed things. And man, I feel like every game I learn something new about the rules. And yeah, we said it earlier too. It's, we've been asking for them to change missions for a year and a half, 2 years now almost. And I love that everything is quote unquote capped at 12. I mean, you can obviously go over, but it really takes out the SOS as far as like ranking people for tournaments and stuff. Because now, since there's like a set scoring system, you can just go straight off of like victory points. And that's how you can rank people that have like tied records and everything. And it's a much better way of gauging, like, okay, if Colton beats someone 8-4 or 8-2, he's going to be higher up the ranking now. The same way that if I lose to someone, 12-0, then I'm going to be down at the bottom. But like, so the wins feel weighted better because you won by more. So I like that as far as like a tournament hosting and tournament organizing. I think that's a huge plus. As far as like actually playing the game, I think I had got beaten myself into a like castling defensive play style that I usually did not play with the first like year I played Legion. And here recently I was like, okay, I'm going to bring Obi-Wan and triple commandos and like sit on these objectives and you're not going to be able to move me. Now it wasn't fun, but I mean, that's what I was playing and that's what I did really well with at LSO. And so like, I think that mindset, I've tried to use that in the new league, in the new game, and it's just not the same. Like, because with all the POIs on the table and all the way you can score points, like you have to be doing something every turn. You can't just sit there and score at the very end and be like, okay, I won 2-0 or 2-1 or whatever. Like, that's just not how it is anymore. Like, you have to be proactive. You have to be thinking, okay, how many victory points do I need off of the POIs? How many am I going to get from the secondary? Is the advantage going to be good for me or not? Like, it adds a whole separate, like, tactical, almost strategic element before you even start the game, which I am learning to appreciate more now that I've played more games. And I think eventually I will, once I've played at least every mission once and kind of like learned how the scoring goes each round. So that's kind of like where I'm at. So I'm still wanting to play a lot of games, and I'm really looking forward to the tournament of just playing 3 straight games. And I feel like after the tournament this weekend, I'm going to be like, okay, this is what I can expect. I know how to build lists again, because I feel every list I've tossed every single list I've built, and I've played it. I built a list, played it, and then immediately deleted it. Like, I feel like I'm just trying to throw shit at the wall and see if it sticks. And I feel like nothing has so far. So that's been frustrating. But I mean, we're all kind of dealing with that right now. So it's just been a whirlwind, I guess, to say the least. Didn't mean to go on my little rant there. So I'm end of TED Talk. I'm done.
Man, for me, so Shadow Collective hardly got any changes, right? The bus changed a little bit. There's a little bit different going on with Rook now that Retinue can provide backup, and there's actually points you could bring Mandos. I was already thinking about just kind of using her as like a character, and the rest of the dudes in the squad is just health points, because she throws 4 dice herself, and with new cover, she can get some shots in. So I was throwing that around, but yeah, I was just like, you know what, I was gonna start running Black Suns anyways. I was getting ready to build a rebel list when we got back from LSO. That was my plan. I had bought a box of Wookiees. I was gonna do like Luke, Bad Batch, Wookiees coming out of a bus, and it was gonna be a charge in list anyways. So I felt like mindset wise, I was already primed for new rules. But I was like, I'm not gonna be able to get that many. I'm further away from 1,000 points of Rebels than I was Shadow Collective stuff. So, have gone this Black Sun route, and I mean, shotguns in a big dice pool seems pretty good still. They throw red in melee, which is good. I hope they get the fleet trooper treatment and their shotguns can work in melee. That would be nice.
Holy crap.
I highly expect they'll never do the doubling doubled units.
Yeah, you're getting like 2 dudes.
If
Yeah.
2-point upgrade.
I mean, I would love to do that and make Matt cry Wookiee tears, but
You already were. Randy casually, I put a 3-man Wookiee on a POI, and he just kind of walked up with the magnet. It was just like, and you're gone. It's like full health to 0. I was like, okay. And then he's like, want to see me do it again? And he did it again.
Yeah. I mean, and I miss Reckless Driver, of course, but the transports still get the units out there. Mainly because everything's in the middle anyway, so they're not that far. So it's still useful, and I can afford to put guns and stuff on the buses. So I haven't, unlike Mitchem, like all my core and stuff didn't change. Like the foundations of my list building are the same. So it's just like, how can I'm pretty much of the mindset of take what lists were already good, and then what did I feel like I was lacking, and just add more stuff in there. A lot of times that might just be I can stick 3 swoop bikes in all of those lists now, which play the rest of the list the same. I've got back cappers. And I think there's 1 or 2 objectives where you just need a contest. So, you can literally just send a bike at the end. Boom, you get 2 VP. So things like that are what I'm trying to look at. I'm not sure if I like New Legion yet or not. I don't think I dislike New Legion, but I'm just at the point where I feel like I need a lot more data. I'm just afraid a lot of my feelings and everyone else's are just based off the newness of it, which is totally fair. I don't think anyone could be expected to make a super informed decision yet. I think it's good. I'm hoping the version of this that will be out in a year will be even better. Like we'll have even more objectives, more unit cards. Like I think, I was talking to you, Mitchem, about some of the Rebel woes you've been running into. I'm wondering if we're going to see some redone Special Forces Rebel cards that are going to maybe fill in some of those gaps, things like that. But we'll also talk a little later about just how it feels building lists with different factions and stuff like that, because Colton here, he's played them all at least once, so
Got you.
Yeah, what's your vibe, Colton? You've got to touch almost everything.
How many games have you got with New Legion now?
Yeah.
So you
I think it's 5 or 6, I can't remember.
So almost enough to play every mission or primary.
I have played every mission but breakthrough, and I played every secondary. But the one I didn't play was the suppression one. That one's straightforward. Whatever.
Sure.
Advantages, I've seen them all. They're not complicated enough to lose sleep over. But yeah, vibe check wise, I mean, I'll just be straightforward. Like, everyone here knows that I'm going to be fairly competitive when I can, because that's what I find to be fun. And I think this is probably some of the most fun I've had in Legion in the entire time I played it. But I do absolutely think that long term we're going to see a trade for fun versus like competition. Absolutely some of the most fun games I've had in these 6 games. I'm all for this new version of Legion right now, but I can definitely see just some experiences, some horror stories of like, oh yeah, my cover roll out of 20 dice didn't give me anything and I just lost a whole unit. I've already had some, but the objectives, like you said, Mitchem, my biggest thing about Legion, it was stale, it was ugly. Playing at a competitive level, they were extremely gamey. I think they were distasteful. I mean, I knew how to win on most of them, and there were plenty of games where after we had deployed units, I could like genuinely say, oh cool, I won this. Like, Boba's gonna move and claim this little box and the game's over. And that sucks. I hate those games where in the back of my head I'm like, I know how to game this objective, or I know how to win this objective well enough that I can just win before the game starts. Now, everything's up in the air. Like you said, the points are universal. You can get 12. There's no, I scored 15 on breakthrough, I'm cool, and you're not. So, I have personally enjoyed it a lot, but I think that's probably the negative statement I'll say is like, if you're that person that likes having fun, you're probably going to love this version of the game. If you're that, super competitive, I got to win at all these tournaments, you're probably not going to be able to rely on some of the old things you did, but we'll see as people figure out the meta and stuff. But I love it. I'm all for it. I think this is a net positive change through and through, and I think it will end up bringing more people to Legion than regressing. And the main reason for that is I think everything in the game became more playable. I don't think you're going to wake up tomorrow and be like, oh man, I bought 3 Chiriticas. Nobody told me they were bad. Now you can play them. Bring them in a list. And maybe that's just a new game. You know, not telling us yet what is actually bad, but for the most part, I haven't run into a unit that I'm just like, yeah, you shouldn't bring that. So I've loved it so far. But we'll talk more about, you know, like Randy said, we'll dive into the factions, and hopefully I can shed some light on some things I've noticed that the game favors and doesn't favor.
Yeah, I mean, more to your point on bringing in more people. I mean, last night at our local game store, Unplugged in downtown Edmond, there was 6 different games going on, and that's 12 people.
Yeah.
And I think half those people, or a little under half, were like new faces that I hadn't seen in forever. Like there's a guy I hadn't seen in a long time that, you know, is like, oh, this new edition, I want to try it. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely getting interest, and it's definitely bringing people back to play, which is good for a game. I mean, the last thing you want to do is, you know, drop a new quote unquote edition, and then everyone's like, I don't want to play this anymore. Like, I like the old way. But I think the community was so fed up with how stale everything was that this is a massive welcome. Whether it's good or bad, we don't really know, but I don't think a lot of people care because it's change. And so, sure, change is bumpy, but it's not stale anymore. So at least they can say that. I mean, they may still be negative, but like, this is what we asked for. Like, we finally got different missions. And I mean, I think that's a lot of people's biggest problem with Legion was the missions. And now building the mission is different, which we'll get more into as well. But it allows you to bring, you know, you can build a battle deck and feel like you're going to be able to use things that you built for your army. Unlike before, it's like I may not use my mission deck all tournament. And that just feels bad because I built these specifically for my list. And if someone outbids me, then I'm just like, okay, that's a whole part of list building I don't get to use. Like, sorry about you. But now it's not like that anymore. So, you know, if people say it's good or bad, I mean, that's yet to be determined. Like Randy said, I think a year from now, we're going to have a better beat on what's good, what missions you play.
How competitive can the game be?
How competitive can they be? But right now, I mean, the least I think you can say is this is a change that we've wanted for a year and a half or more, and we finally got it. Like, I think that's the floor, which is really high. So, I mean, you can go up or down from there, but I mean, it's something that the community has been asking for a long time, and they listened, and it feels nice to kind of be heard. And it's like, I don't know if this is good or bad yet, but hey, it's different. It's different, and I get to bring new units that I've never got to play before, or I get to blow off the dust on some of my fleet troopers that I could never play before in the past. You know, it's fun. So I mean, at least it may be frustrating at times, but it's good. It's good.
It's a dedication letter from AMG. It's a love letter. It's like, okay, we've been working on this for 3 years. If you're wondering, well, you know, where all your stuff is, and I mean, they still gave us products, still gave us everything. They at least, you know, had the guts to be like, hey, we're like investing long term in this game. So I think if AMG approaches this from this isn't a final product, but we're going to continue, you know, live servicing this game, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and you know, they had made that statement about updates will be less.
Right.
They'll be 18 months to 2 years. I think that was just a stall tactic for this to come out.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because why would they update points after LSO when they knew they were going to announce this 4 months later?
Right.
And they did a more recent interview, or Will Schick did a more recent interview with Grace Squadron at Gen Con, and it sounds like that is definitely their intention, is to be more on it for this. So that's good to hear
about that.
And, you know, I mean, like half of or more of these deployments are battle lines, right?
Yeah.
They could change up the game a lot just by like, oh, here's a short edge deployment objective. You know, that would radically change the play style.
Yeah.
I would say that's my biggest worry right now, is that we've traded range 4 and 5 gun lines for bayonet charge battles. Like, and that's, I want a mixture. I don't want it to just completely flip flop. But I don't know if that's just because we don't have the stuff that's coming out later, or that's just the stuff that's obviously good at the moment.
Yeah, and it might be. I think it's probably tougher to play gunline stuff, so that might be something that we acquire as a player base as as the game develops a little bit. But I think the obvious tactic is like go get all the objectives. So I think maybe there's some future potential to not necessarily go all in. But
I think the archetypes of list building have changed. Like, I don't think there's necessarily like. I feel like we're still trying to apply old verbiage to a new system. Like, I don't necessarily know if there's like a gun line list anymore, or like sure, there's still going to be guns, and range 4 is still good. Iden's tack strike with death troopers is gross turn 1, where you just and recon intel, and you move up on the board, you get 3 aims, and then you just pop a shot with steady, and you just delete stuff out of cover. It's totally nasty. So range
I feel
4
like
is still an option.
Empire can still be that gun line. If anything,
sure,
and I think got that's more of that faction identity back.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. I mean, this version feels more like AMG's version of the game, of what they wanted it to be ever since they took over stewardship of the game. This feels finally like their game. And you can kind of tell with the way Will Schick's talking about it, the way Pagani's talking about it, and all the developers up there. They're proud of this product. And I think it really shows. They are happy. This is finally theirs. It's not FLG's anymore. It's, yeah.
FFG.
And, FFG. Thank you.
Whoa.
But yeah, I think archetypes are. So either there's going to be different archetypes that are added to the pool of these quote unquote list building archetypes, or they're going to be a completely new versions. Fury Road, I think, is still a really good archetype. Dive in. Gun lines, I think, is still viable if you can do it right at range 4 and shoot when you come on the table. But I think we're going to see a lot more melee heavy lists. I think speeders are really good now because they can claim objectives, especially on the recover or the recover the research, when they just speed around and okay, I'm contesting this.
Yeah, I mean, when everything's KP, you can dive your speeders at everything.
Exactly.
They probably won't live as long anymore.
Sure,
but
hey,
I mean, you don't really care about kill points as much anymore either.
Yeah, I mean, they can change the tide of a battle in one turn. It's oh, you thought you had one unit back here that was securing this? Well, now I have a speeder there, and now you're not getting any victory points. So, but yeah, it made you still die. But yeah, I think that's another thing too. Victory points don't matter as much because I think it's going to be harder to tie.
Kill points don't matter.
Kill points don't matter as much because I think it's going to be harder to tie on victory points. Because I mean, there's so many, and it's perpetual scoring. You're scoring every turn, So you have to start scoring as soon as possible. At least that's what I've seen playing Rebels, because their identity is
because you're going to run out of them to score with.
Exactly. They don't have the attrition. They can't win the attrition battle like Red Saves armies can. And it really shows, especially with cover in the way it is. But their characters are so good. So good. And they have some of the best characters in the game. But if you don't have any core units left at the end of the game,
it's very different.
Well, I know. This is me and my 3 games over here. So
yeah.
But
I've been stopped in every single one. So
no, that's I mean, that's completely fair.
Me and my woes over here. But
I find it very interesting though.
It's funny you mentioned that, Colton. I feel like every thing I hear from someone, I'm like, wow, that is a very different experience than what I heard from someone else.
Common,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, do you want to talk more about that, or are we gonna move on to?
Okay, let's dive in the missions, and then we'll kind of talk more about each faction. So
I'll definitely hit up on those identities.
Yeah, I know we could have just gone on, felt the vibes forever. Okay, so mission 1 here.
Yeah,
breakthrough looks a little bit like advanced positions. It says place 4 POIs as shown on the breakthrough map, starting in the second round. During each end phase, players score 1 VP for each checkpoint in their friendly territory. So you can possibly get 2 just by making sure no one's in your business. And then additionally, players score 2 VP for each checkpoint within the enemy territory they secure.
So I think it's important to note here that you don't need to be contesting or securing your friendly POIs. You just have to make sure that no enemy is contesting it. You can leave your own POIs and still score as long as there's no enemies within it. And I think I'm just now realizing that after we played our game, Randy, because I don't think I realized that, because I don't think I would have castled. I would have played our game differently. But we're talking about missions here. So.
I really like this one because I like the little corner on the deployment. I feel like that's nice, especially if we're doing recon intel, that we can kind of come up on the side, on the short edge, and then kind of deploy off that. I've been, as a Wookiee player, since I'm playing Wookiees right now, I've been I've been thinking about this one because it's only got 4 POIs, which is a good thing. And I've been thinking about, like trying to rush from one of those to the next closest deployment and trying to take one of theirs. And then, but there's a risk there, because you're probably leaving your other side POI open. But
so mine and Mitchem's game, that's almost exactly what happened. We loaded up on the right side of the board, but he put a Vetna Mark II on the other end. And so we were probably 2/3 of the way deploying, and then I stuck a bus over there with a Black Sun in it. Right. Yep. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go after that. So he only had a few units left, so he stuck Ahsoka over there. So, okay, so mini battle going on over there. Because I mean, I think if it's just that, because it wasn't a doubled up vet squad, it was just a normal vet squad and a Mark II. If Ahsoka's not over there, that bus and Black Sun was just going to delete those guys. And then I would have been getting 3 points on that side. So I think you did the right thing, but it is hard to predict who's going to put what where. And I believe I had advanced intel on that one too. And so we were even axe, but I was able to pass. I think advanced intel is cracked personally, especially for
It's pretty good.
Yeah, everyone that I've heard that's a bigger brain than I am has said that it's probably the best one. So, I mean, that pass turd one is really nice. Even if you have even activations, or if you're down one, I mean, you just get a free
2.
pass. It doesn't. It doesn't matter.
Oh, I have 3 pass tokens. Keep putting your stuff on the table for me.
Yeah. Or even if your opponent has less activations, you still get a pass because you just add it to your pool for free.
Yeah.
So,
I think this, Matt, I see what you're saying about Wookiees, but I think this one might actually be better for a higher act list.
Yeah, I'm trying to. That's a big difference for me. I feel like before with Wookiees, the way I was playing, I could find my one thing I needed to try to control and just pour everything into that, and everything's so spread out. I'm really trying to figure out, where I need to put my stuff to control areas, and so that's why I said it's not currently in my deck, but it's one I've been thinking about just because of the closeness of the deployment, and maybe me being able to put if I can go take their POI, maybe that's my 2 points, and then maybe they don't back cap me, so that's my 3 points a turn, and then who knows? But it's tough. There's a lot of learning for me. So
and I don't know, if you have an Obi cast on one side and then you just bring Anakin and let him go on the other point by himself, if that's enough. Who knows?
Might be.
Yeah. Maybe I send a sacrificial Wookiee and just run him to the other point and just slow him down for a turn.
Yeah.
And there's.
Okay. I mean, breakthrough wise, this is the only one I have not played, but that's because I think it is probably the most. I don't want to use the word skewed anymore because, like Mitchem said, I don't think those hardcore. This is your archetype are as relevant anymore. Because you can't bring 6 bikes, right? You still can only bring 3. But I do absolutely think this is the mobility objective. I think if you have fast bikes, Mandos, whatever it is, I'm gonna go last turn 2, and I'm just gonna double move a sacrificial lamb on your point. Sorry about you, you're not scoring it, and at the same time, you're keeping your stuff back. But I'm not gonna beat the dead horse this entire breakdown of these objectives because there's a common theme you need to understand right now. Number 1, you're super close to one another on literally every single one of these. Breakthrough could be the exception depending on how you set up. But number 2, you're spread out, like you said. And this is the most spread out one when it comes to your home objectives. So if you're not willing to separate your army into 2 pieces, I don't think you can play this. The only other thing is, I'm not going to repeat that every time because I will say it literally every time. The game is designed in a way where, since they gave you 1,000 points, with the exception of maybe 2, but I would say 1, I think you split your army every single game. And when I say split, that doesn't mean 50 here, 50 here. But if you're just giving up a side of the table, that's going to be brutal when Randy does do something like that. And it's like, oh, my last activation is going to be this trash unit that's going to go over here and score me 6 points this game. So I think you're gonna hear me say something along those lines every time we talk about one of these. But yep, breakthrough, mobility objective. If you're playing your hunker down castle, you better be ready to go get your opponents that's right next to you, because otherwise that could be brutal. But yeah, I like it. I like this one. Very unique.
I 100% agree with you splitting. It's almost like you're building 2 separate 500-point lists that combine to 1,000, and I put 500 points here and 500 points there, and hopefully they can. If one side wins over the other, then I can win the game. But I think splitting your army is definitely their intent.
Yeah, and I think bunker assault is actually the most straightforward one to talk about for that.
Yeah. I'd have to check ranges, but this might be actually the one that benefits that range for gunline the most.
Yeah, if you're willing to split.
Because if they're on the long edge deployment, they can fight over the other one at the corner, but they still might be able to hit that other one at range. So, but this is all theater crafting. I don't know.
I can't speak too much on this one. I can help you with the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, I played this one with Mitchem, and we still don't know.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm just, after you just read that, I learned that. I just realized, I was like, oh, I don't have to have a friendly contesting or securing that. I could have moved off the point the whole time. I thought I had to be there and castle up. I would have just moved or done something other than what I did.
I realized that while we were playing, I was going to keep a Black Sun back, and I was like, oh, wait, I don't have to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Speaking of straightforward, the next one is Bunker Assault. Place 4 POIs at a colonial lineup across from each other on the field and run each other to death with bayonets. Starting in the second round,
Napoleonic Wars, say what?
End phase, players score 1 VP for each bunker they secure. So secure, you got to have more dudes than the other. I'm really curious if we're going to get units that are going to be like in the future. This counts as 2 units for securing.
That's a good point.
That's
I honestly,
like
honestly,
40K.
I honestly thought that's something Sleeper Cell was going to do, personally, but no, they just get a sniper rifle for some reason. Anyways, additionally, players score 3 VPs for each enemy bunker that was destroyed during the end phase. So let's see what that's about. Starting the second round, at the start of the end phase, each player places 1 wound token on each enemy bunker they secure, starting with the blue player. Then for each enemy bunker a player secures, if at least one of the contesting units is a commander, operative, or special forces unit, place an additional wound token on that bunker. Then each bunker that has 3 or more wound tokens on it is destroyed and removed from the battlefield. I do not want to be playing this list with Fury Road, apparently.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no. I mean, it seems like I can still do it, but it seems like way more effective for a Rebel list. Or Hero Hammer, I should say. Not necessarily Rebels.
Yeah, I'm working on like a all Mando, like Ahsoka, Sabine, Leia, Clan Ren, Mando Resistance, and just like go. Push W, go. Like this one would definitely be in my deck for sure.
Yeah. Colton, has anyone played this one?
Yeah, this is actually, I don't know how the video is going to go because I think some actually happened to one of Jared's recording equipment, so I don't actually know if our video is going to come through for the next one, but this is what we played. And by far the most competitive game that I've had so far, and it was Bunker Assault. And we both had, he was playing, I sent a picture on this one too, Randy. I didn't know if you had it other, but
Let's see if we can find
it was essentially he was playing Dooku and 3 Magna Guards, and I was playing Anakin 501st and 3 Arcs. So we both picked the objective in our list because we're like, ooh, look at all these shiny symbols at the bottom of this objective. That means we do more stuff. I also thought it would be a good like shooty one, a good melee one. I didn't really know what to think, honestly. And I think this is secretly one of the most dynamic objectives out here. It looks very straightforward, like you said, that you can just push stuff up. It also makes you think, ooh, I need special forces or operatives to play this. True, but I don't think you need to be that list. It's like, I have 2 commanders, 2 operatives, and 3 special forces. I think it's deceptively good as the all-around objective. Those are way more spread out than you think they are. That was my first experience with spreading my army out in my first game as well. So I was like, man, these POI tokens, my 2 home ones, are really spread out. So had to utilize that a lot. But I'd say my biggest thing is I think every army can genuinely...
Is it this one?
No, it will be... Here, can I share my screen? Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Okay. But for the most part, I'll find it real quick. But for the most part, this objective I think is really cool. I think you can play a gun line. I think you can walk onto the map and be the guy that just sits back with your 2 bunkers and just shoot anything that comes on the board. I think you can be Randy and you can go W key, like Mitchem was saying, straight towards the enemy. I didn't send you that one, Randy. Sorry.
Okay.
But all of these things kind of add up to a neutral objective. The only difference I really see is that special forces slot doing 2 more wins. I don't see it being very common that you blow up your enemy's bunker unless you're just snowballing your way to victory in the first place. But once again, if you give up your bunker, you give up one of them to, put everything on one side of the table, you better go blow theirs up. You're probably going to lose. I think securing a bunker with just W key is a lot harder than it sounds because your opponent is going to have so much stuff that is going to move and be literally in range of the objective turn 1. So we played melee mashup with arcs and Magna Guards, all those red saves, all those droid red saves, Anakin versus Dooku. I don't think we put a wound on each other's bunker with all of that chaos happening. One unit sitting back and, kind of watching the stuff in the middle, like Randy was saying, jousting match was a thing. But early on, round 1, we were shooting the heck out of each other. So I think its versatility is key in pretty much all these objectives, but no more so is that true than in this one.
Yeah, I think this one is deceptive upon, just because of the way the POIs are set up.
Yep. It looks safe, looks comfortable, and then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, that thing's really close to me.
I think this would be a good maybe gun line if you're not necessarily attacking, just kind of set up and just start shooting them all the way in.
If you are a range 3 gun line, I think it's better. I think when you say the word gun line now, you're talking more my range 3 gun lines, like Guard. If you're bringing, I don't know, Z6s, don't know if that's a realistic heavy weapons upgrade now, but I think that type of range is a lot more healthy than, ooh, my range troopers are range 4. Yeah, you can walk onto the table and shoot something, but if you're trying to contest objectives, your opponent's probably already in range 3 of you as well. So, I don't think that is a necessarily too friendly of a range 4 one. The only benefit would be fortified positions and just starting the game on top of those bunkers. But your opponent's going to walk on the table, and if they have scout, infiltrate, or any of those fancy keywords, they're going to be in range 3 of you. So your range 4 benefits disappear very quickly if you're playing bunker assault. So I thought maybe it was a gun line. I don't think so. Maybe range 3.
If you have prepared positions, are you able to deploy in your zone and be able to contest a POI? Is it short enough to do that?
It is exactly half a range.
Exactly half a range. Yeah.
So if you're right on the line, I think, or maybe you're either just there or just short. I don't think I actually had any prepared positions that game because it was scout with ARC troopers. That was the main thing.
Yeah.
But looking at the graphic, it is a half a range away.
Yeah, it's a half a range outside.
If you're right on the line, I think that is technically in range. So it's, you're getting there turn 1 and it scores turn 2. So you're going to be on your home. But yeah, cool objective. I like it.
So Matt, do the Wookiee special forces count as special forces for scoring?
They do not.
Oh.
So they
sucks.
count as core for list construction and battle cards, which these are battle cards. So unfortunately, they do not. I have thought about that.
That's brutal.
And because that's why I was like, I put this in there. I was like, I'm gonna put.
Yeah,
I'm
they
gonna
would have
put-
been cracked.
I'm
That
gonna
was
put 10
the first
special
thing I
forces-
thought of. I was like, this is the Wookiee objective.
Yeah, I'm gonna put 10 special
That's
forces on
crazy.
this objective. But no, yeah, it's
Huh.
not, unfortunately. There are still, now with the Wookiees, I'm putting in shooty Wooks, and I can put a single arc in. So there are some special forces still. And you've got 2 commanders. But no, I think the Wookiees, that would just be, I don't know. I think there's maybe a way you could push through and try to break a bunker with Wookiees, but I think it might be, like Colt said, probably tougher than you think
I think this will
initially.
probably be something you put in your deck if you're bringing Wookiees.
Yeah,
Because
I think it gets in the deck.
It's very the objectives here are what brings you closer, unironically. But
Yep.
if someone doesn't ever go for yours, then I can see that problem of like, I need 2 turns to move my Wookiees up.
Yeah.
And in a game of 5 rounds now, that's not okay anymore. You need to be melee and punching stuff in the face ASAP.
And it's also a 4 POI objective, which instantly makes it something I'm looking at just by virtue of not having to spread out over 5 different points.
Yeah. Less spreading out here for sure.
Cool. Well, speaking of low POI objectives, close the pocket. This is the one we played, Matt.
Yes.
This is the one that's kind of like intercept, except the outsides always score 1, the middle always scores 2. The deployment's a bit like disarray, but that half range extra deployment does make a difference, and also they're
It's a big difference.
yeah.
And you don't have to deploy in each zone. You can do one or the other.
You can load up on one side. Yeah.
Mhm.
So a couple of fun things that happened in this game with Randy. First, I did not read the card because I am apparently a 7-year-old. So I didn't know the middle one scored 2. And so I just loaded up on the side. And then, turn 2 comes around and Randy scoring 3 to me scoring 1. And I was a little behind. So I deployed an ARC trooper on like the short edge and like scouted them and then moved and caught one of his speeder bikes that was a little too close, and I one-shot it.
It was out of line of sight for anything that wasn't deploying on the short edge, scout 2ing in, and then moving again.
Yep.
But I did it too early. So then he transported, pulled out a Black Sun, and then blew me up. So it was
I don't even think I transported them.
Oh, yeah, you might not have.
They just came out on a short edge, too, because I had recon intel on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it was. So he came and got me. So I probably should have saved that for my last act. The other thing was I put a token Wookiee force, try to send him to the middle. I should have done my main force, but that's when he was getting his Black Suns and started wiping Wookiees. So I got in late and got in some melee late, and I started gaining some ground, but by then I was too far behind. We actually didn't get to 12 points in this game. I think it was like 9-6 or something like that.
Our secondary was marked targets.
Yeah. And I cleared a couple of marked targets, I think. I don't think you got any of mine. Or maybe you got one.
I got one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I got 3 and you got 1, but I was not scoring.
They were just so far away from me.
Yeah.
So that might be where having the range force helpful is on something like marked targets. Yeah. But yeah, I just figured, well, they'll get closer to me, and it took them a while to get over there because you went bus hunting and you did get one down finally with the impact grenades.
Yeah.
But
we did a good job. My marked targets I picked for me were a Shooty Wook and Yoda, and then he picked like a Wookiee with a grenade and Chewie for his marked targets. And I think he got the Wookiee with the grenade, and then he picked the buses for his marked targets, and then I picked speeder bikes. So I think I got 1 speeder bike and a bus.
Yeah, I think the buses were the right thing. Just because.
Yeah, no, they were.
I mean, it'll be list dependent, but if I have a unit that someone might just want to avoid shooting completely, then I'm going to probably pick those for mine. It's like, I'm going to make you shoot it if you want these VPs. So,
yeah.
But,
cool.
Yeah, that one's pretty straightforward. Any other thoughts on that one? Or?
I have that droid game that I sent you, Randy, is the one that I played, Close the Pocket, and You just flip over to the next one in a second. I'll show everybody something because I think this is kind of cool how they designed this, and it might be intentional, might not be, but I think it's fun regardless. But the droid one where you see some nice little air speeders, that is my game of Close the Pocket with Aaron. And he had Echo Base, and he had, I don't know, like 8 fortified positions. And this is just a little side mark on that. You can see all this stuff kind of coming from the top left. We both put everything in each corner. Okay, so I think this is the one objective for... I really do think all these objectives and deployments are designed with this idea in mind. You can't bring a list that just dominates it anymore. And that's the main thing I love about these objectives is if it is the quote-unquote gunline option, my opponent still has a deployment right across from me to put, I don't know, Vader there, burst of speed into me turn 2. Or maybe even turn 1 if he plays Infiltrate or something. So I think there's absolutely a cost to doing something like that if you are just going to throw everything in the corner. But as you can see, we're meeting in the middle here. I was playing some Magna Guards, Double Ion Spiders in Count Dooku. But you can kind of see this classic Intercept the Transmissions with just a little twist on it with Disarray. Randy, if you go to the other... there's some... Yes, that one. Okay, this is Bunker Assault, and one thing I wanted to mention is while we're talking about spreading out your units, if you can see at the bottom right that Leia and the Rebel officer are there, one thing I've really been trying to do is like ask myself the question, do I need 2 commanders? And I think a lot of people have been talking about that. Like, do I need Courage 2 units to be able to go over here and play the objective? It's kind of interesting, and not all of these objectives, but something like Bunker Assault, if for those of you that are like, I don't want to play super aggro list, this is a Rebel gunline. Leia and the Rebel officer in range 2 of everything that you see on this board, and they're just in between the 2 bunkers. So I think that exemplar range being range 2, the take cover being range 2, all of that is purposely designed where you can kind of just shove your commanders in the middle of the board and they'll mostly be reaching everything still. So I did appreciate that because at first I was really worried playing these dodge spam rebel lists that I've been trying out and like, oh no, I'm never going to be in range to actually use the dodges, and just playing the game a little bit. I'm like, okay, these ranges really aren't that bad. But that was just a little side note. But yeah, Intercept Transmissions, same as it used to be. The deployments are different. I do love that dynamic of it's not just a gunline list. If Randy wants to put his 2 buses and Black Suns right across from me to pressure my massive range 4, super unfavorable up close stuff, he can. So it's like a double-edged sword for most of these objectives. And I think that's kind of a common theme between all of them as well.
Oh boy. More. We made it through the first 3, guys.
We did it!
There's so much to talk about. It's all new. It's all different. New.
All right. Let's shifting priorities. So this was the first one I played against Dylan.
Crazy.
And he went low act for the first one. It was like a Yoda Saber 8-act list. Cody was in it. It was interesting. So he
5
had some
super squads. Yeah.
5 super squad. Relentless. It was wild. But so my swoops played with 5s a squad up here, but there was like a line of sight blocker they could fly over, so they were like bouncing between the top one and that one, and then stopping him from scoring, and they were surviving just enough to not let him score that one every round. And then the rest of the battle was over here. So there was like definitely 2 separate skirmishes. And honestly, with shifting priorities, I think you could end up with 3 or 4 different skirmishes happening quite easily if you let it happen. I did not realize that the person who does not score the POI is the one who moves it.
Yeah.
And that is a big thing to overlook. Because you're
Game
thinking,
changer.
I'm going to secure it and get it closer and closer, and eventually I'm going to have like a safe POI. Not the case. Not the case at all.
And you're moving that thing 5 inches because it's edge to edge. So you get your half range and then the 2 inch of the POI.
Yeah, how the difference in where you can score it. Yeah,
that's huge.
Yep.
Huge.
Well,
movement.
and one worked out, one didn't score, another one did, and it got moved. And so there was then overlapping scoring areas, and that was that got pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, because multiple units can score, or a unit can score multiple POIs now.
Yeah. And so he did some Yoda force pushing and try and move some stuff around, but you can walk out of a melee now with one action. So it's hard to just push them out, get into them. Like they still might be able to walk back in there. Yeah, Colton, your thoughts on priorities?
So this is probably the most I mean, honestly, every game I played is completely. They've really changed how I view these. So the game that I played for this one is the Geonosian one, Randy, and this is the game I played yesterday actually against Travis. Travis was bringing 3 double-manned Rebel Trooper squads, just some classic Travis stuff. I was like, what in the world? With Z6s on them. It was a brand new game. I was terrified. But he's playing Rogue One, really. He had 2 more, the POW and the Biston squad, K2, Cassian, Jin. Yeah, right there. And he goes last on the objective, and I think this is a cool part about the battle deck, is this is probably the last one I would have played with the list I brought. I was playing my double bounty, Boba Boss, Krennic, and some Death Troopers, and then 3 ranges, 2 shores, 2 mortars. So just classic Empire gun line, like you guys were saying. I wanted to see if it could still, play the game, or is it bad now if you do something as heavily into the idea of something like a gun line? And with this objective, in my mind, when I see it, this is the last thing you want to play. And it totally shocked me. The range 4 is actually huge on this, because if you're Travis couldn't really validate sending these tokens out of nowhere to, the corner of the map, because we were doing it where, your opponent that scored them didn't get it. The first round, I scored 1 of them. I let him score 3, moved them all towards me, shot his stuff while he was contesting them round 3, and then for the next 4 rounds, I just chased everything down. And it didn't matter where he moved them because my army was shooting, range 4. And so it was kind of like it was a nice change of expectations for this objective. It was very unique. I always had cover because the objectives give cover, so I was just following them around, move, shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot. So it was a very interesting experience. Boba did get to flame that 20-man Rebel Trooper squad, so that was probably the funnest thing I've done so far. I think there was only like 15 of them. I think there was only 15 others, not 20. But it was a lot of red dice that were finally used. But one of those objectives, did not think it would play like that, and it felt like actually a huge benefit to have long-range guns. Definitely was a part in the range troopers having Dominable and being encouraged too as well, though. But even my short troopers were able to keep up with the POI tokens, because if you move within that half range and your opponent moves at half range, you can still move, shoot, and still be in range. So, pretty cool.
It's funny you say that. I about the not wanting to play it. I had Close the Pocket for some reason in mine, and I'd picked it and I banned it.
Yeah.
And then Matt banned it again, and it got his Close the Pocket.
It was his. Yep.
And I was like, oh my gosh. So I was like,
yep.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
I don't think I want to play that with
too.
Wookiees. I don't know if I do or not. I don't think I want to play with Wookiees because I'm just going to get shot a bunch. Yeah, there's too many areas to try to control.
It's just going to really suck when someone moves your POI token to the corner of the board and you've got a 98-point Wookiee unit just standing there with their thumbs in their pocket.
Yeah.
I don't think this is the melee range 2 objective at all.
No.
Yeah,
maybe if you have flutters, but
range 4 suppressive seems really good on that one, because it's like, oh, you have 1 unit out there. Oh, now it's panicked, or it's like suppressed, or like whatever. It's easier. I feel like with having to spread out your army more, I feel like it's easier to get out of that range 3 courage bubble for your commanders if you only have 1 commander.
Yep.
And it's a lot easier. Like I've found in some of my games, like multiple units have been panicked in a game, and I don't think I've ever had that happen in the old rules. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll keep it rolling with the high POI objectives here. Recover the research. You're putting down 6 lab POIs, and starting the second round, during each end phase, players score 1 VP if friendly units contest 2 labs, 2 if you contest 3, 3 if you contest 4 or more. Not sure why you would want to do more than 4. Since you're not scoring more.
Preston wanted to get 4
assert
more,
dominance.
Flex. It's just a flex.
This is my first. This was my first game with the new rules.
Okay, cool.
And I brought, I think I brought like a double FD, Ahsoka, Boba,
Heck yeah.
like souped up vets and everything. I was like, oh man, this is awesome. I could bring 2 10-man vet squads. I'll put these FD cannons down and shoot anything that comes at me. I'll put everybody else over here. Well, then here comes Din effing Jared around the corner with this little flamer and just roasted straight up one shot my 10-man squad of vets before I got to do anything with them. And I was like, all right, this is new Legion, huh? Cool. Flamers are good. Flamethrowers are good.
They sure are.
Yeah. So no, this one's tough. I could see your range 4 being good on this one too, Colton. Now the way you explained it on the previous one. I think this is I think the only one that's pure contesting, not securing. So I think this is like the speeder mission.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
you have swoops, you have barks, you have vehicles. You better have this mission in your deck because it's just like, okay, your bus does its transport thing turn 1. All right, I'm just going to bounce around and shoot and just contest as many objectives that I can. And I mean, there might be a point where the bus can contest 2 at once. I don't know if you can. I don't know if it's that wide or that long.
They're pretty separate. This is probably one of the most spread out POIs. Bus might be long enough. I don't know.
It's very spread out. And this one feels very much like Battle Lines. Because, I mean, I also played Iden Tax Strike on this one. And it was just like, man, you're coming on the board and you're already... So I had like a bunch of prepared positions. And like I was already in range 3 of like his friendly territory. And so he was coming on the board and like, you know, not even barely moving halfway up in his deployment. And was already at range 4 and just deleting stuff. And I mean, open cover shots galore. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, I don't like this one.
I played this one as well against Dylan, and he had 3 Droidicas. And I didn't read the card again, and it says contest, not secure. And so I was like, I can hold my 3. That's fine. And then, then he wheel moded a Droidica past my line, and then was like, hey, that's a point. And I was like, oh, that's it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for me to win this one. So it's good. We also had the suppression secondary.
Nice.
So I think that's 2 really bad objectives for me because I'm not doing a lot of shooting. So He was putting suppression on me. Not that it affected me, but he had more suppression on me than I had on him. So that's a point if he can get me to my courage value. So no, it was good. I learned I did not like this one, and in 6 POI, so that makes sense. But I thought I could hold, my territory, which I somewhat did. But he also held my territory.
I see the logic of like, okay, I'll just start on this side and just kind of push him out that way. But yeah, when you've got speed 3 stuff, he can just get behind you.
Yeah, once he wheel moded past me, I couldn't really come back and get it without compromising my push. But yeah, I was in trouble anyway, I think.
All right.
Yeah, this one's definitely your, like you said, Mitchem. I think it's also unironically the first objective that like it's kind of like breakthrough that favors high act lists. If you have more stuff, they can just go die. Like, hey, this Ewok squad's just gonna sit back here and contest. I don't need to kill you. I played Simon in this one, and I was playing Luke Rebels. Had 2 swoops though in the list, and they won me the game by themselves. They scored. They contested 2 objectives for 3 rounds. Didn't kill a single model the entire game. Died painlessly, but they would pop back and forth. Luke died turn 2. I told Simon, I was like, hey, you want to re-rack? I think you got this pretty easily. Won like 14-6. And I was like, the only reason it happened is because, like you said, I do think gun lines would be good. But he had all this stuff balled up for rule with respect. And so this was the first game that I was like, you gotta spread your stuff out. So whether you got chaff or high act or speeders, just going to contest is really not that complicated. It's just about staying on the board long enough to do it. So
it's funny you say that, Colton, that you lose Luke turn 2, and you're like, oh, you want to re-rack? This game's over.
Yeah, I was.
You can't do that now.
No.
Like that's not a thing.
Mm-mm.
I don't think, because like my game I played with Drew. I mean, for the first 2 to 3 turns, I was killing stuff. Like I killed all of his shores, I killed all of his mortars. Like I was doing the thing. But like I'd look over at the score, and we were still tied on victory points.
Yep.
It was still tied, and then all of a sudden, Vader jumps in, kills my guy with the surface scanner, the asset,
Yeah,
and then immediately contests it. And so he automatically gets 2 victory points. And just like that, I won him the game.
Yep.
So like you can't just be like, oh, I lost my best unit. Oh, well, you got it. You got it, man. Like I can't come back from this.
Yeah.
Like that. I just don't, there's too many options in the game to score.
Yes.
And losing a centerpiece, doesn't matter as much anymore because kill points aren't as important.
Kill points don't matter. Kill points
don't
really
matter anymore. And sure, losing Luke and a lot of your command hand is still very bad for you, but it's one.
Well, and to that real quick, sorry, but like you probably have the points for another hero now. So more than likely, you're not losing your whole command hand.
There was
exactly
6 dodge spam Rebel Core and 2 swoop bikes that were more than happy to play the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, you lost 1 unit out of 11 or 12 acts.
Yeah.
Like you still have plenty that you can go around and contest.
Yep.
And if someone's going to castle up on you, then like, okay, I'm going to go around and score and do all my stuff. Like Rebels want to be moving. They got the Agile 1 on the troopers. Swoop bikes want to be, they have to move. So yeah, it's just very funny that you bring that up because the more and more I play, the more and more I'm like, man, you really got to play all 5 rounds. And like time is going to be an issue. Like right now we're all new and green.
Sure.
But like, we got to get to 5 rounds because it's going to come down to the wire every time.
Yeah. That's
unless there's just a snowball. But like, that's going to be hard to tell.
I think you'll have both of those. Those will be your 2 main games, Snowball or Super Quest game. I don't think there's like
this 100%.
anymore.
And I think that obviously I mean, it's going to go either way because the game's so spiky now. Like you're going to have games that are just like, okay, we didn't get to turn whatever because, you know, we're slow and like it's going to go to kill points, or you're going to have snowball games. And I think that's kind of just where we're at.
Yeah.
But I think they intended it to be, okay, every single game is going to go to turn 5. In a perfect world, every game's going to go turn 5 and it's going to be close. Like it's going to be 12 to 11 every single time. And I think that's AMG's like idealistic goal for the game.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Intercept the signals.
Oof.
Let's see. For comms towers, kind of in a diamond. You got 1 in each friendly and then 2 out there in no man's land. Starting with blue player, each player chooses 3 friendly units, then each player chooses 2 of the enemy units that their opponents chose. Starting with the blue player, each of the chosen enemy units gains an intel token. Starting in the second round, during each end phase, players score 1 VP for each comms tower beyond friendly territory that meets 1 or more of the following conditions. That comms tower is contested by a friendly unit with an intel token. That comms tower is secured by that player. At the end of each phase, if a player is securing a comms tower, up to 2 friendly units contesting that comms tower may each gain an intel token. Each player can have a maximum of 2 units with intel tokens at any given time. That is a lot of text. So, basically, you can score 4 VPs in total around, right? And you can either do that by securing or contesting with an intel token.
Mm-hmm.
Am I missing anything there?
No.
Okay. But you can only ever have 2 intel tokens, and it doesn't look like there is no claim you gain from this. So if a
they
unit
disappear
dies with
off
one, you
the
can't
map.
pick it up. Okay.
Yep.
But you can look like you can get more if you go and grab a tower.
Yes.
Well, you can't have more than 2 units, right? Okay.
But if you lose,
that's how you get them back.
Yeah, you can get more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Comms tower gives you more if they're dead.
Okay.
This one is, I won't speak too much on it because it's probably the one that I'm still the most like, that's really intricate. Someone's going to figure out something really cool and it's not going to be me. I think that your home base matters so freaking much on this one. like a lot. Like if you're that person that picks a bike to be your intel token, you give it an order, go last with it. I did learn that you cannot triple move bikes when they have an objective token, so it made it less scary. But essentially, you gotta have one tower secure so you can keep those replenishing tokens. Because like Randy said, they disappear, and I think that you're going to be pretty contested in those two middle objectives quite frequently. If you don't have that token, you're going to let your opponent score, and you're not going to get anything. The biggest thing about this one, there's only 4 points. So every point this is going to feel a lot more like Old Legion, in my opinion, where it's a lot more gamey, and it's a lot more every single score matters, where it could be a win or a loss. Your secondaries also will matter a lot more here. But that's pretty much it. I don't know how to feel about this one yet. I did play Little Aaron with this one. That's the snow mat one that I played, Randy. You cannot be at range 2 of both sides of that if you're really looking to extend your army. Played Anakin 501st, sent 2 Barks and Anakin on one side, because God forbid Anakin be that good and fight a whole army by himself. Other side had that nasty 5s Comtech direct from the Clone Commander with the situational awareness. But you can kind of see that Clone Commander hiding very discreetly in that building next to that bottom POI token, the little Pokeball. He does not have range of both sides, and you can see how far apart they are. But I think those intel tokens are absolutely the most important part. So, if you're going to put it on something like a Bark and try to contest your enemy's home base, you better understand that it can die, and you won't have any way to contest any tokens until the next round. So it's a very high risk, high reward strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't quite know what you do on this one yet. I'll just be honest.
How were the Imperial speeder bikes that Aaron had?
Bad.
They got lit up.
Yep. I think that cover one is brutal for all of the bikes. My Barks included.
I think that's why swoops help a lot, because they get the dodge.
Yep.
The dodge.
All the bikes
like,
I played,
they survived because I was able to dodge one.
Yeah.
Away.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, this one kind of. So on the secondaries, is that the same thing for speeders too? If they have a secondary token, are they also losing an action, or is it just?
I think that those intel tokens are still technically whatever that is. It asset tokens? Is that what they're defined as? The old objective tokens. I believe if you have anything like that, it is 2 moves.
Okay.
Because me and Jared were talking to stream. We're like, oh yeah, you put one of these on a bike and you just triple move, go last, because you can totally get there with a bike unit, and I'm going to contest your home base and score a point, and that's how I'm going to win the game. But can't do it. So somebody actually thought about this. So I could be wrong on that, but that's how we read it. Is that if you're holding any type of token, whether it is a secondary or a primary, your bikes are not going to be skitooed 3 times.
Yeah, we're always talking about good guy Jerry. It's New Legion, though. We got to call him Scumbag Jerry now.
Great guy Jerry. Oh, sorry.
Scumbag Jerry. Scumbag.
Yeah, so if it claims an asset token, it can only move twice. Yeah. So it's an asset token. Additionally, a unit with a Speeder X keyword that has claimed an asset token can perform only one non-converser.
I'm pretty sure that's secondaries too, because I think the bombing mission.
They're all asset. Yeah. Everything is asset now.
Okay.
Travis did mention that the speeder keyword does matter. I do believe if you have the speeder 2 keyword, you can actually move twice. That is my only thing that I heard differently, but I don't know that. But just know that there's probably movement restrictions on your bikes. So just throw them to the other side of the board. But yeah, that's probably the most.
2 speed 3s is still good though.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's on those deployments, you're gonna get where you want to go.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
He was playing Tempest Tempest Force, the Scout 2 one, so he Scout 2'd the bikes on there, then compulsed, and he was in my deployment immediately, so it was like, okay, it's terrifying. Hope that's not an ATSD next week.
Well, I think I might make the executive decision here and say we save secondaries for next episode.
Yeah, that's completely fair.
That was... I knew we were going to go in depth, but there was a lot to talk about, but I'm glad we got to kind of battle report on a little bit too. And I do want to just kind of talk about list building a little bit before we sign off. So I think just to kick it off, let's start with the heroes of Star Wars. What's it like building Empire lists there, Colton?
Oh,
Is there an Empire army that's not going to include Krennic and Annihilation Looms now?
I mean, I thought that exemplar aim and take cover and all those cool things he has was going to be really good. It kind of sucks for your action to be taking aims and just getting those, out. It's not bad, don't get me wrong. The two main problems I had with it is, number one, you can't share them freaking bounty hunters, so that's the number one unit. Like, boss wants those aims. So if I'm giving to him short trooper unit, sure, I can extend my range 4, but why not just aim shoot at the same time? So I think with how killy the game is, if your first action with a unit is like, I'm going to go with Krennic, he's going to move, or he's going to take an aim and spotter himself an aim, and now I got these 2 aims to play with, I'm going to be like, okay, cool, I'm going to move up and delete the short trooper unit. Congratulations. You've got 2 aims and no units to shoot with. So I think that's definitely one aspect of it. But yes, Krennic is absolutely good. Not hating on him at all, but I do think their Empire is the bread and butter faction. I think it's going to continue to be that. I think if you want to bring Vader and triple dewbacks, heck yeah, bring those flamers and toast a 20-man squad of Ewoks. On the other side of things, Randy said it, they're a gunline faction, but I will say that I don't think they're the gunline faction anymore. I think everybody's going to give them a run for their money. I don't think that that's something you can claim anymore. Suppression is probably the biggest thing. Like you said, Krennic 3-pip, that secondary is something they could probably tailor to a lot. So, lots of different things with Empire. They're the bread and butter faction. You can build about any archetype you want.
Yeah, and I don't know if Shores and Mortars have the same issue vets do, but I want someone to tell me what prepared positions is good for. Someone make it work.
I love it.
Man, I think if you mass it, I think you need a bunch of it though.
I think you're right, Matt. I think it's all or nothing. Like, you can't do a smorgasbord of half my army has it, half it does it. Like, yeah, I think you need to go all in or nothing. That's been my experience. You
put one out there, you're just asking to get him deleted.
You're just putting a target on its back.
Yeah,
like, it's just, and there's no sense in deploying them regularly because they're speed 1, like vets, and Shores are speed 1 now.
Yes,
too?
Same thing.
So like they want you to use the prepared positions.
Yeah,
but like if you have nothing out there to support them turn 1,
I love it.
My experience has been just they're gone. I think in 3 games, I have not activated a single Mark II in 3 games. Whoa. Like,
I love them.
Have either of you guys played with FDs? Do you think FDs are good?
I played with FDs my first game.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think I played them right because I put them by themselves, like securing an objective.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they'll be fine. And then it's like, oh, next thing I know, like a unit of Death Troopers moves out, gets them in open cover, and they just die. Granted, 6 runes surging white is solid. But again, Rebels and attrition. It just doesn't work. I still think they're good though.
I think FDs is how you play the suppressive game in Rebels. Yeah. You put that generator on them, and
I think the suppressive generator is huge.
I think I built an Echo base list that was like 14x, and it was just
shooting stuff.
FDs, and like I think you could suppress that way.
I think they have a place in certain missions, but playing like FDs on where cover the research deployment was not the right mission to test them on. So, but I think there is a place for them.
Yeah, it feels bad if I'm going to move up into melee with your FD.
and
contest your point that you're just outside of being able to contest.
New Legion problems. I do think that the most out of everything you said, the thing that I will agree with the most is I don't know if it's an all or nothing, but if you're bringing like 1 FD, that might be a bad choice. FD might be okay, but if you're bringing 1 vet squad and MK2, you might be better just walking them on the board. I've been doing about 2 mortars and 2 shores and then 2 vets and 2 MK2s, so I definitely have not done like, all or nothing. I think if you're going to do it, turn 1, you have to be very careful about...
Are you putting them out of line of sight?
No. I want to see as much stuff as I can, and I want to have, obviously you can't have perfect order control on them because they're outside your deployment, or outside your, reinforcement range, whatever. But if I can get everything else orders, and then I have 6 core tokens in my bag, I think it's brutal for your opponent. I'd say most of my games that I've won by a large margin starts with my opponent walking on the table with clones that are not going to be able to move and shoot. They just have to come onto the table, and then in return, I'm going to aim range for you with shore troopers, and I'm going to kill half a unit because you didn't make your cover save before you even get to play with them. So I think that they have.
It's nice when
oof,
shore
a lot of
troopers
play.
can get a range 4 gun. That's only have a puny.
I think that's better. I think that's better.
You just got to roll good, Mitchell.
We'll talk about white save armies towards the end, but I have a good little talk on that.
I mean,
for sure.
hey, you're a better player than I am, so I really have no leg to stand on here. But
Well, I mean, let's get into Rebels. We'll go ahead and just get into Rebels. But last thought on Empire.
Yeah.
Was there a certain way you think to build them, Colton, or
if I'll just kind of throw like a idea at everybody. If you're like starting off with the game, you're like, where do I start? I think you definitely go 3 range troopers if you have that. They're just so flexible now. They're going to get an aim. They're going to be able to move wherever you need them to. That armor 1 is probably the best defensive tech in the game, unironically, besides crits. It's one of the few ways you're going to guarantee a no hit. So the armor 1 is really big. Suppressive gun, go for it. Impact gun's fine too. But yeah, I love those guys. Indomitable. I think they're really brutal in this version of the game where they can actually secretly be a really good objective player, as weird as that sounds.
Spurs, no joke on them either.
Yeah, double bounty. That's just something I've always played. Double bounty now that you can.
Double bounty's always been good.
Yeah, kamikaze your way and still get the bounty now. That's huge.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Now I will say be very careful with backup because that's going to affect things like Bosk and IG. If you're shooting commanders at range 3, it's not worth it. Don't do it. You need to make sure you're at range 2 or they don't have core units next to them. But mark targets plus bounty, pretty good. Last thing, I think out of all of the armies, and this may be a statement I regret later, I think the cover saves hurt Empire the most. I think that your red saves are actually going to feel worse than they ever have before. And I'll go more.
Is that mainly just because they tend to not surge on the red?
They don't have any defensive tech.
Yeah,
there's no surges, there's no dodges, there's no uncanny luck. It's just I have a 50-50 save. And now that you're not getting that cover anymore, I think out of all the armies, you're going to be the group that complains the most about I didn't get a cover save. And now I blanked out on my mortar and it just died to some stupid Rebel 4 range gun.
You got to roll white dice down here in the mud with the rest of us.
Yep. You can be a little more happy when that happens. But they do feel bad on defense.
Yeah. And it seems like everyone I played, their dice have been spiked.
That's completely fair too.
So
yeah. So Rebels, so we know Travis loves Rebels. I feel like he has like a new 95 thesis on Rebels.
Oh yeah,
every couple days. But yeah, like what have you guys run into there?
I played Rebels the most.
So
go ahead, Mitchell.
I think our play styles are different, and I think our list building ways are different
for sure. I played the same thing.
I am all on board the Rebel Trooper trade. Like toot, sign me up, golden ticket. Like they're so cracked, so good. Dodge,
they are
spam. Leia or Rebel officer with portable scanners, giving them a dodge, and then you pair it with the advantage that gives them a dodge when they come on the table.
Yep.
So they're walking on the table with multiple dodges. I mean, that's huge, big time. And small dice pools are totally worth it now. And their shots feel so much better now that you're just not like they don't surge to hit, but getting 2 to 3 shots through feels so much better than just like, okay, I got 3 hits. I'm taking 2 off the top. So it's just going to be 1 because that's pretty typical with troopers.
Yeah.
Also, I'm all in on fleets. Fleet troopers, just kamikaze, just running in there. Like speed 2, like turn 2, I'm in something and I'm rolling 2 reds for the scattergun, a black from the impact grenades, and then 6 white. And then you tag a medic to them too. So if they get shot, and maybe running with Chewie, like, Randy built a list for me with, I think is big time. I think really what you'd want to do is you want 2 fleets and Chewie behind them to kind of protect them as they're moving up. All in on that.
Yeah.
100%. I think also the more and more I've played, I've realized that, like, I think Hero Hammer with Rebels is the way to go. Like, because you want Leia on the table because she does so much on just her unit card now. And you want you want Leia and then like 2 operatives. And like that's your baseline. And then you pick your flavor of core, like whatever you want. And then after that, it's kind of like up to you. I mean, Tons are good. Commandos are still decent. Strike teams are good, but like I haven't played strike teams, so I'm not 100%.
Yeah.
Like, sure, their dice pool's better, but it's like, okay, I have a range 5 gun, but everything's going to be within range 3 after the second turn or even the first turn. It's like, how important is a range 5 gun now? Like, it's really not. And like, sure, maybe they can go secure objectives, but like, it's not like they're going to stick around for a long time. And Rebels and attrition, again, it's just tough. So, but yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with it. Hero Hammer and Rebel Troopers. I'm going to bring some version of that on Saturday at our tournament coming up. So
yeah, I feel like we've actually played a lot of the same thing then, because I mean two vets,
yes,
2 MK2s,
I'm doing something right.
And then 3 Rebel Troopers has been the foundation of my list for the 3. Yeah, I think 3 that I played.
3 with DLTs.
DLTs, Captain, Dodge Spam. It's my favorite.
DLT Captain squads, I think, are just so much
Brutal.
better now.
Brutal.
Like, they're
I think
almost the best core.
They're back,
in the game.
baby.
Yeah, I think if you're playing Rebels, you go ahead and grab Leia. I agree with that clearly. Leia's a beast.
You can bring a naked Leia, like just nothing.
Yeah.
Like her unit card is so stacked by itself, and her No Time for Sorrows command card.
Yep.
I mean,
it's a huge win for her.
Huge. Yeah.
The foundation for every Rebel list I played for all 3 of them is Leia, Rebel Officer, both Vigilance. Give the Rebel Officer portable scanners, so when he goes, he can give himself a dodge and her a dodge. When she goes, she can give him a dodge and herself a dodge. All of a sudden, you have these massive Anakin Padme dodge spam generators in Rebels that are 125 points cheaper than the GAR version.
That generic Rebel 3-pip got a lot better too.
Yep.
Where they're handing out a dodge every
Yeah,
time
well,
they
maybe
shoot.
my 8 core, but
I didn't think about. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, do that.
Okay.
The dodge spam in Rebels is, in my opinion, the way to go right now. I played it with Luke once, and the 2 sweeps. I don't know why I did it, but I did it. And then I actually played IG-11 and Mando in the other one. IG-11 too. I played that dude once. He's a lot better now that the AI doesn't matter, and you don't really have to play as 3-pip. But yep, dodge spam Rebels. I think anything that prevents you from rolling dice in the game right now, especially after a cover save, is your best defense. So as much as you can brag about GAR surging red save, I would right now rather have multiple dodges to just not roll dice. So I think Rebels secretly can be extremely tanky and can win that war of attrition when you're not getting flamethrowered or stepped up into range 3. So I really have enjoyed Rebels a lot. And I think if you're that white save person that's like, I've hated Legion for the last 2 years playing Rebels, now's your time.
Well, speaking of white saves, this might be quicker since, like, I think Colton, you're the only one who's played droids. Matt, you've played against droids, so
Matt.
you can at least speak to it on that side.
Yeah, do it, Matt.
They're pretty good. They're a lot better, I feel like.
Yep.
Droidicas were a lot better. Dooku is kind of nutty. He can kind of do it all now, and he's got direct, so there's not a lot of downside. And his lightning's better. It's just he's got it all. So the droids, I mean, all the little stupid droid shots that used to not matter, I mean, they kind of add up. So it's something you got to deal with. And then we were playing research, so he can just throw a droid squad on a point and just leave it. Who cares? He's in range 3. AI is not triggering. So it's just, yeah. I thought they were much better.
Yep.
If that was old Legion and we were playing similar lists, I feel like I would have rolled them. But I got rolled. So I think, the game's a different game. So
Yeah. Droids easily got the most buffs from this update by far. B1s actually have a save now, and they're probably going to be one of the most frustrating things to shoot and then watch your opponent not lose anything but 1v1. And like Matt said perfectly, is they actually can surprisingly hit you back because you may not get cover if their little dinky 6 white dice only rolled 1 hit. You still got to roll for it. They also feel really good with the points changes because what's the typical, CIS foundations? Like, bring 6 B1s and then a couple flavor pieces. Bring Dooku and 3
They're going to
Magna
Flavor
Guards.
Town.
Yeah, you do. Bring all of your favorite toys. So I think that the cover saves help out those 2 white armies a lot and make them a lot more competitive. So I think you're definitely going to see some droids and rebels coming up to party.
Yeah. Just looking at the unit cards, Dooku seemed
Beast.
Yeah, he's back. Grievous looks great.
Oh, Grievous got some much needed buffs. That guy is so good.
Tangential. The flex change always being on range is nice.
Huge.
Made me so happy.
That's how it should be.
So
That's how
happy.
it should have been.
So happy.
Yeah. Because I was running Yoda Chewie, and it's like, it's wasted time to shoot Yoda if Chewie's there because it's 3 for Guardian, 2 for backup. If they're outside of range too. So it's that's just 5. That's just 5 hits gone. So you don't even shoot him. So
I forgot he gives him backup.
It's disgusting.
Yep. How does he give him backup?
He's got Guardian units ignore the core requirement
backup,
for
but
backup.
it can't receive backup.
Yeah, you shoot Chewie. But yeah.
I totally forgot that in my game when I played against Drew. That would have been super helpful.
Yeah, there you go. Now you know.
Yep. Range 2,
because I had Chewie behind my fleets the whole time.
Yep. Would have been
this
solid.
new game, brah. Forcing me to read.
Honestly, part of that's like why I was like, I think I'm just gonna play one list.
Yeah.
Just so I can try to get a certain subset of new rules down.
Yeah.
That's why on the Discord I've been like, you talking about transports? I'll talk to you about some transports. I've been reading those rules. Oh man. Okay, droid. All right.
Done.
Clones. Go ahead. Go talk about clones, guys.
I haven't played clones.
We
could
played
do.
clones.
I know y'all have lots of thoughts.
We could do a quick tangent into.
I've been playing Wookiees. Okay, so here's
before.
my first thought was I was like, New Legion. I want to play 501st again, and I was looking like 501st is really good. I was like, so I don't want to be. I don't want to be like. I feel like all the Republic people are going to be playing 501st. Yeah. So I wanted to be a special snowflake. So I'm going to stay with Wookiees.
That's right.
But 501st, just looking at it on paper, it's like
I played it twice.
4 arc strikes, Anakin, clone commandos. Throw a clone core in there, and I feel like you're cooking. I feel like it's just insane. The amount of scout and tactical, you can just start throwing shots out, and then the arcs are insane in melee now. I think arcs might be better than Wookiees in melee.
That's fair.
Tactical charge. If you have the clone commander in there, you got a surge. You're throwing 10 black with probably 2 aims if you double moved into something.
Dude, I don't know how you're not bringing the clone captain in every single core.
I think
outmaneuver and defend one.
That
that's OP. That thing is cracked. That's stupid.
It's good.
It's cheaper than 5s. That thing should be as expensive as
you get 2 upgrades,
especially
for the price
with the
of
clone sharing as well. And just giving them outmaneuver. I'm slapping that on every single one of my clone cores.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to bring anything else.
Yeah.
Waxer, Boyle, who are they? I don't know. It's this generic clone captain.
Yeah. Yeah. I think targeting scopes
that's
for
true.
arcs.
That's true.
Targeting scopes for arcs seems like a low-hanging fruit, especially if you're double move charging into somebody, getting 3 off both rerolls. Seems really strong.
I think that's the first thing that drops, though. They don't really need it.
They don't need it, but it's nice.
I played the triple arcs twice now. Yes. Yeah. So both Garless I played were Anakin 501st because God forbid they balance Anakin. He is
how good is Anakin?
He's the most broken unit in the game. There's not even a close second right now.
He just does he just kill everything that he looks at?
I've put him on one side of the board with Clone Commandos once and then 2 Barks once, and I will say he's killed 500 points worth of stuff. He beat Dooku in a 1v1 for reference, and Dooku, with all of his changes, Surge to Defend, the Pierce No, it's just not okay. The flawed thing is easily. I forgot about that in the game, and he still won. Or tempted, sorry.
Yeah.
But
it's different.
The
There are no flaw cards.
He has no flaws now.
The arc though, I do want to touch that because that's kind of where this may be completely wrong, but playing 501st Gar is the worst thing that I've played in terms of how it felt to play. Everything in the list is really good. Those arcs, they're awesome. I'm throwing my 10 dice in melee. There's not going to be 5 of them when you're doing it. If you're getting shot, Gar is going to be that faction where you're not going to have models on the table. If you're getting plink damaged with 2 little bullets and you don't make a cover save and you do start blanking those red dice and you've only got, 50 models compared to your opponent's 128 B1s, you're going to start to feel some like feels bad moments. Those ARC troopers losing a model or 2 feel really bad. Especially when you also need them to score objectives and stuff. But by no means am I saying they're bad. I'm just saying objective play-wise, you're going to have to be careful with Gar. Because if you don't have enough activations, because mine have all been 10, you're going to run into some games where you're like, oops, we got shifting priorities. And my ARC troopers, sure, they can move, shoot with sharpshooter 1 and their sniper, but you're gonna need those efficient, like Matt said, those double aim, punching something, but you're not always going to get them.
Yeah. Drew and I were talking about it the other night after our game. I mean, Gar is, I think, easily the best faction in the game right now alone. Like you said, Droid's got the most buffs. I mean, we all know who got the most buffs. Like, it's definitely Gar.
Clones are bad. Guys.
I think Gar got the most changes.
They have a new faction. Every single card.
I think it's too early to say they got the most buffs.
I don't think they're the best.
They are the most different. They lost Exemplar and Fire Support.
Yep.
Which was our whole thing. That was our whole thing.
You're right. Now, however, sure, we lost Fire Support, but like, you could still throw a Fire Support dice pool with a fully souped up Z6 squad of like, you got 5s and a Z6 and then a medic and a full clone guy. I mean, that's 9. I mean, you're still throwing over 10 dice. So, like, did we really lose Fire Support?
Everybody can do it now, so it's not cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
that's the problem. You're not unique
sure,
anymore.
You were just talking about fleets, right?
Yeah.
Fleets can do it.
No, you're right. You're right. And I think larger dice pools are not as good.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Because cover is going to be more into effect statistically.
That's what made it so good, was that clones in Old Legion could just spike 12 hits through.
Yeah, sure. What was 2 off the top when I'm rolling 14
I'm going to
dice?
kill this unit.
Just dunk on a unit, and nobody else had that kind of firepower.
Nope. Sure. And I think they saw that, and they're like, let's make small dice pools good again. And they have. Mm-hmm. And I think, kind of back to what Randy said, I mean,
you can plink clones again. Yeah.
It's tilting back the other way.
Yes.
And I think it's too early to tell if it went too far.
That's 100%
because it was over here with Fire Support, and now it's like, and I think we'll know that more in a year from now. But I mean, I think clones are still cracked. Like,
they're going to be just fine.
They
don't get me wrong. They're going to be just fine.
I'm not saying they're bad.
Yeah, I know. They were the best faction before. Yeah. And I think they still are.
I think they've
didn't
definitely
get worse.
Brought down, though.
Yeah.
That's how I'm putting it, in the sense of,
sure.
If you run into a rebel player, you can't be like, your faction's not as good as mine. You're gonna have to play the game now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Your OB Triple Commando is just not a free win.
I think you're right, because that's a big thing, because, like, again, the faction identity.
Yeah.
I mean, clones are elitist. Sure, maybe with the extra 200 points, you can get to 10 acts.
10 is pretty common, I think.
Don't see a lot of clone lists going above 10.
I think with the upgrades and everything, like you said, those clone command, like, you want to make, out of all the factions, you want to give them the most. Because, I mean, heck, they've got a whole new slot for throwing crap in there. Bring 5s and my shotgun.
I mean, 6-man squads are going to be, like, the baseline in all clone, like, core now. Like, that's just going to be... Like, you're just going to have 6 guys in your squad.
A lot more upgrades, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because so it's
the
just going to be...
The Courage 2 is the biggest thing, in my opinion. The basic core units.
that's huge.
Courage 2. That is their biggest
and I think
buff.
that really fits into the faction identities that they're really sticking into.
Mind you.
Mm-hmm.
they're phase 2s and phase 1s.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. I think it's a great mixture. I love that. I can't wait to see the marksman with the DC-15
Yes.
gun.
Oh, that looks so
See what
good.
that's going to be.
That looks so good.
And that might change everything.
Yeah,
about
free
how
my
you're building lists.
DC-15s.
I mean, I think ARF troopers are going to be the counterpart to ARC troopers, because ARC troopers want to run in and capture your enemy's
Yeah.
objectives. ARF troopers are going to be like, okay, I'm going to sit back. Maybe they're going to be
I mean,
two,
heck,
they
they call
count as
them
2
marksmen,
unit
right?
leaders
Yeah, they're clone
or something like
marksmen,
that.
I think.
Clone
So
marksmen,
they're going
yeah.
to be special forces. But yeah, so I don't know. It'll be interesting.
But
For sure.
so before we talked, we're like, the Jedi attachment makes no sense going into ARC troopers. Now it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because it's a melee unit now, essentially. So I don't know how they'll fit into ARF troopers per se. But unless they're ARF troopers just really scouting somehow, just really
I
getting
feel
out
like
there.
the detachment keyword is pretty different now, though, too. That like they don't really go together anymore. Like, I mean, my Rebel Vets in MK2 can go on the opposite side of the board, so
That makes a lot of sense,
might
too.
be
with
like a yin and a yang. Like, oh,
Yeah.
there's
the
my
detachment
ranged,
Jedi
here's my
that they're
melee.
getting. It makes sense that they've reworded the detachment keyword, because now they can just be like, okay, I have to bring a unit of ARF troopers. Okay, now I can bring this extra
Yeah.
generic Jedi
Mhm.
and just put them wherever. Like,
Yeah.
that makes total sense now. Because before we were speculating on how is this going to work? Like, is it going to be in the squad? Is it going to be a separate unit? But like, now it's definitely going to be a separate unit. And it's just like, you have to bring this before you can bring that. So
Yeah.
you have to pay your tax. which is-
Randy, do you have any Shadow Collective thoughts?
I do.
You want change?
Detective Randy
Collective
on the
thoughts?
case. Here we
So
go.
I'll just say, yeah, they didn't get they didn't get hardly any changes. They just got bus changes because they changed the Rebel one. And will there be changes? Did CIS small change?
What was
I
it?
don't think so.
I don't think so.
I
No.
don't think he did.
I think
No,
he got a
no,
card
he's the
yet.
same card.
Right.
Granted, he
Same
could get
card.
a new card in part 2 coming up.
Right.
But
So
I
that's
think
my
the
thing.
infiltrate card changed. Was
Yeah,
the
because
only
they
thing.
had to.
Yeah, 'cause
Because
they had to.
yeah,
But it's
infiltrate
the
works
same.
differently.
It's the same thing,
Yeah.
essentially.
So there might be changes coming
For sure.
down the road for that. And so here's the thing. I think the better version of the core in Shadow Collective was having Kappas and Vigos in the squads. Courage 2 units are good.
Yep.
You're not getting suppressed. I'm getting dodges and aims for free. It is good. Black Sun's already deleted units. They can still delete units.
Yeah.
That's good. I think a pike spam is still going to be good. I mean, it'll work kind of like the Rebel one. They won't have the exemplar, but you're still building dodges yourself. And aid works off the board. I've been trying to abuse that, aid my independent aim or dodge,
Oh, I see.
and then deploy
That's cool.
on with the commander. So I think they'll be fine, at least right now. The problem is if they don't do more releases in the future, everything will finally just leave it behind. Which, again, it doesn't need to be a Shadow Collective update. I would take a different Merc squad that just uses some of the same core. So, but yeah, I think if you're a Shadow Collective player, hey, that 200 extra points and the keyword changes, there's some interesting stuff to do. I mean, I think we talked about it. If they had just changed cover and gave you 200 more points in the old game, we would still all be going, whoa, I don't know what to do with all this stuff, But
I mean, even just 200 points more
Mhm.
would have been like, I think we talked about it on a previous episode. Like, even if that was like the bare minimum change, that would still be enough to shake up the meta.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, every clone list I had built, I can bring Yoda now. And it's like, wow, that is pretty big. So,
yeah. And then, the playing close. So I don't know. I think for Shadow Collective, bring your old list and just those upgrades you couldn't quite get, you can get them now. You can stick guns on everything. Like, I have points to stick shotguns on almost all the Black Suns, no problem.
Yeah.
And I feel like everyone I've played, it's like, you're piercing me? Yes, I can afford to pierce you now. Yeah.
Please, sir.
So, but yeah. This one is a doozy of an episode. So if you're listening to this, thank you for listening to it. We have a tournament this weekend at Game HQ. It's going to be our first big Dust Bowl battle with the new rules. I imagine it will be awesome and terrible all at the same time.
Chaos.
But we'll probably take some videos there.
It'll be fun.
Some pics. This will be the first tournament in forever
That
that
we're all
all
together.
three of us
Yeah.
will be in attendance. There is a running joke in the community that Matt is just a cosplay that I have, just because we can't seem to like show up at the same place in forever. So
A lot of people say they've never seen Randy and Matt in the same room together. So
Yeah,
this
true.
is gonna trump a lot of people this weekend.
it's been a while.
So
It's real.
Yeah, I can only show one hand because the other one's like controlling
Yeah.
Matt.
Like,
But yeah, any other plugs we want to get in there? Don't forget to comment on this episode of the last one for the giveaway. We did have some people kind of mention international. I think we'll say that for next giveaway. So just North America on this one. But yeah, we'll look at more international prizes for our next giveaway. For sure.
we're really close. So make sure you comment and subscribe, and we will pull from the comment lists of those who are subscribed and do a drawing on the next episode after we reach 100. So right now, if we do
this
it,
could be it. This could be your last chance.
this could be it. Yeah, this could be the next episode. So
I
this
think
one's
we're
coming
like
out.
6 away. So it's
We're
close.
6 away. So yeah, this one will come out on Monday, and then 2 weeks after that will be hopefully when we do the drawing. So make sure you get your comments in now. And even if we go over 100, fantastic. That's wonderful. But we'll still wait to do the drawing.
You'll still
go ahead
get
and
in.
comment. You'll still get in the drawing because we won't do the drawing until the next
We record
episode
for
release.
the
we
one
record for
after.
the next episode.
So
So
more subs, more giveaways. So
Yep.
Keep
Yep.
on.
Yeah, so stay
Cool.
tuned. And this is, I guess, kind of a part one of the new rules. We'll cover secondaries and hopefully advantages next time.
Yep.
But yeah, there's plenty to talk about.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Too much.
Yeah, Colton, great having you on, man.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A lot of good
Good
insight
insight.
for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
We'll definitely have you back. Anything you want to plug? I know you said you and Jerry had recorded a battle report, but it might.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. He might do something else with it. I know he's going to continue to do those little YouTube shorts where he goes to his local stores and plays games. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, we're kind of talking about doing some different live streaming of games instead of just recording them. So we are kind of excited about that. So be on the lookout for that stuff. Just check out his channel. He's selling all these essentials you guys need on top of that. So
Use code XN1ROCKS for
that's
that
right.
10%
Plug
off.
it in.
Well, great. So digest these rules, fellas. Start reading the secondaries, and we'll get cracking on that. And this is us signing off. And remember, X and O is just a thorough rules reading away.
See you.